Yesterday in Virginia, there was testimony on behalf of a new bill called the Fairness in Women's Sports Bills. What it says is that only biological women should compete in women's sports in the scholastic level and in the collegiate level. It should be something that's replicated in every state of the United States of America. Frankly, it should be a federal law. Frankly, there shouldn't be a need for this law, but there is. And we have some very courageous young women who are stepping up in the face of really ugly vitriol and speaking their mind and standing up for women. One of them is Riley Gaines. She gave testimony in Virginia yesterday, and she joins us now. Riley, thank you for doing this, and thank you for your testimony yesterday.
Of course. Thank you for having me on.
Well, just to remind everybody, because we had you on a few months ago, you're a swimmer. You've graduated from University of Kentucky, by the way. Congratulations.
Yes. Thank you.
But you swam. You famously tied Lia Thomas, William Thomas, in a NCAA swim meet, and you tied. You're both in first place, and they give the trophy to Lia Thomas.
That's right. We tied. It was the NCAA championship final in the 200 freestyle. You get marched out on this little podium with your trophies, and so we go behind the podium, and the NCAA looks at me and says, "We only have one trophy. We're going to give it to Thomas. Great job." And so I look at him and I understand there's only one trophy and they don't necessarily account for ties in terms of trophies, but I don't think he was prepared for me to question him. But I did. And I said, "Okay, well, why are you giving the trophy to Thomas?" And kind of frazzled, he answered with the fact that Thomas had to have it for photo purposes and I would go home empty-handed and they could eventually mail me one.
Yeah. For photo purposes, that sounds like the NCAA wanted to send a statement to the world through the media.
Exactly. It felt like we as swimmers, we as female athletes had been reduced down to a photo op to validate the feelings of a male, which goes against, of course, everything that Title IX was created to protect.
By the way, this was a great opportunity for Lia Thomas. So Lia Thomas says, I love my teammates and, I didn't want to cause an uproar and I just love to swim. This would have been a great opportunity to say, you know what, I've had plenty of attention. Let's give Riley the trophy. But that didn't happen either, did it?
No, that is not what we saw. And in my questioning, which I might add, it was a little more heated behind the podium.
I bet it was.
It's not as calm as I'm making it seem here. There was a lot of frustration. The heart rate is high. Thomas didn't say a word, didn't offer the trophy. And again, I want to reiterate, having the tangible trophy was not a problem to me. I'm a 12-time All-American. I have lots of those at home. So it wasn't the physical trophy. But it was the principle behind what was happening. Yeah. It was at this point I realized we weren't only being forced to compete against men and share a locker room with biological men. We were being sidelined to biological men as women.
Well, and this is why in a lot of the testimony that we saw yesterday coming out of Virginia, this idea of women being erased through this process came up again and again. This inspires you, by the way, to start your political action committee. It's called 9pac.org. It's to protect Title IX. You heard my intro when I said we shouldn't even need a law like this. And I say that because Title IX was supposed to protect women's sports. This was the whole point. What has happened with how Title IX is being misinterpreted and twisted in this way?
I think it stems down from lack of accountability, all the way from the top, whether that be the president who's actively trying to rewrite Title IX. Of course, the leadership within the NCAA, Mark Emmert, last year, of course, is the one who allowed this to happen. And when asked about it at the time, he said that he unequivocally stands in his decision because it's backed by evolving science and all of this loaded nonsense. But actually, a couple weeks ago, at the NCAA conference in San Antonio, I saw Mark Emmert, and we asked him about this, and he said he fully agrees with our stance and supports us. So that right there proves the lack of leadership within these large governing bodies.
Yeah. Let's talk about the evolving science, as they say, because you can get any expert to tell you anything with regard to testosterone levels, with regard to bone density, muscular structure, but just on the face of it, just logically, you look at somebody like Lia Thomas, who through puberty and through adulthood, young adulthood, he was William Thomas, built up a body as a big physical male swimmer, and then suddenly after 1 year of estrogen therapy, I suppose, and testosterone blockers. Suddenly, everything's supposed to be an even playing field. Are they even making that argument right now, Riley, that says, hey, it's even, it's fair? Or are they now just saying, well, maybe there's an advantage, but it's not that big of an advantage?
It's a mix, depending on the organization. We have a large governing body in Canada right now who is saying testosterone has absolutely no effect on performance and success in athletics, which is so silly considering they have anti-doping policies.
Yeah, I was just going to say, if you were taking testosterone, you would have been disqualified from the University of Kentucky swim team, right?
Exactly. You would be banned and you would have your awards stripped and all of these different punishments for engaging in performance enhancing drugs, but yet they claim testosterone has no effect.
Yeah.
Coming from a male who's gone through puberty.
So you testified, and there is a Republican majority in Richmond in the House of Delegates, but Democrats have the majority in the state Senate. And so there's talk in Virginia, I live in the greater Washington area, that Democrats are going to block this. I'm curious as to your opinion of that, because clearly this is a political thing, and it appears the Democratic Party have gone on the anti-scientific side of what will lead to the complete and total destruction of women's sports.
Exactly. Yesterday when they voted in the subcommittee, which it passed, it was a close vote. I believe it was 6-4. So then it got moved on to the full committee, which they didn't vote on yesterday. I believe they'll be voting tomorrow. But how the setup kind of was is they, of course, announced the bill and they have people line up to testify in support of the bill and then again to testify in opposition of the bill. And the line of people who testified in opposition made it about what sports is not about. Sports are not about your feelings. It's not about your identity. Of course, this is something that relies on your biology, your anatomy, your physiology, which all is determined by your sex. But these people who are voicing their opinions in opposition, they're claiming that trans people have larger suicide rates and this contributes to that. And of course, they're pulling these heartstrings. But again, sports does not rely on your feelings. It does not rely on your identity.
Well, and if we do want to play the feelings game, why are your feelings invalid? Why are the feelings of the women who don't make the team, who don't get the scholarship, who don't make the state championships or the national championships because a biological man has competed and taken their place? Aren't their feelings valid too?
Not as valid as the biological male, apparently. Sharing a locker room, being traumatized by that situation. We're in the wrong. We're called transphobic because we don't want to see male genitalia. And it exactly proves what you mentioned in the beginning is the erasure of the women's category, the erasure of respect and dignity and safety for women.
I've only got about 30 seconds left here, but I said that you face a lot of opposition. I know on social media, people come at you. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm actually fortunate to have such an amazing support system. I grew up a leader. I've always been secure in and of myself, which I now realize is a blessing.
Good.
I'm not someone who's going to back down from a fight. So.
Well, I'm not an SEC type, but I'll say go Wildcats just for you, Riley.
Oh, we love it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Riley Gaines. Stay out there and continue fighting. You're an inspiration to a lot of people, young women, and a lot of us older guys, too. We wish we had a daughter like you. Well, wait, I do have a daughter like you. I have two of them. More to come on O'Connor Tonight.